Well, this one's a real twisty-turny.
I know.
So much happens in this one. This is a bonkers episode.
And there's an actual puzzle. I can't stress how much I love that.
Are you a puzzle person?
No, but I love that Clint is.
Yeah. Okay, great. Hi, Julian Ponzavalli.
Hello, Patrick Hines.
Girl, we got to jump right in because we've got an announcement.
What is it?
So, fam, we promised you a Facebook group alternative.
Yes.
Right? So we are launching a Discord, and we are very excited about this. Now, I know very little, though I'm getting up to speed quickly.
Yeah, we're both in there.
Yeah, we're both in there. There's a link in the show notes to sign up for the Discord. We'll put it in the Facebook group as well. It's going to be heavily moderated by Sash and a couple of other people that we're bringing in. It's just another place for you to go and sort of like hang out. And the way that I understand that it works is like it's more like channels than one like big group feed. So if you want to talk about the book club, for example, there's a book club channel. If you want to talk about this week's episode, there's a this week's episode channel. If you want to talk about dogs, there'll be a dogs channel.
There'll be like a pets channel.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
I'm
excited. So everyone, if you're into that kind of thing, great. We just wanted an alternative place for community and for everyone to hang out.
And like the Facebook group is going nowhere. I love the Facebook group. I will be in there all the time still. But it's, this is just another place. I will be in both of them. But the Discord exists and I cannot wait to like grow and learn together.
It's a brand new day.
It's a brand new day.
So join us, won't you? Or not. Whatever. Whatever you want to do.
You're not bullying anybody.
It's up to you.
You're just inviting them nicely.
It's up to you. I'm trying my best. Come hang.
Girl, what are we talking about today?
So this is an episode of 2020. It's called A Puzzling Murder. It is about the murder of Lita McClinton.
This is a true murder mystery. Emphasis on murder, emphasis on mystery.
I felt like Lita's murder case looks like a true crime story, but it goes a lot deeper.
Who would kill this woman? She wasn't robbed. Somebody came to the door with roses and shot her dead.
Was there a feeling that this had to be pretty calculated?
She was shot with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
No obvious suspect.
Was she at all concerned about the fact that she was in an interracial marriage and that this was a difficult time in the South?
It was not a welcoming place for a black woman to live.
She said, I'm done. I'm packing up my stuff.
I want you to see the puzzle. When I put it together and I show it to you, you'll never forget it.
Your wife's best friend has been murdered, and police are looking at you.
So we get all the details of this crime really quickly and sort of right up front. So we learn it's a cold, drizzly Atlanta morning in 1987. Lita McClinton is asleep in her gorgeous townhouse. Her best friend Poppy and Poppy's daughter are also there. They're asleep in another room. And then a little after 8 a.m, the doorbell rings and Lita goes down to answer it. She looks through the peephole and she sees a delivery person with a huge box of flowers. We're told she might not have answered the door were it not for the flowers, but as soon as she opens the door to take the flowers, this delivery person pulls a gun and shoots her twice in the head.
And now her BFF Poppy is at the house with her 3-year-old daughter, so she hears this.
Yeah.
There's a neighbor who sees a guy running out of the housing complex, and the neighbor calls 911. This neighbor ends up being incredibly important in the story.
Yes.
And when the cops arrive, this is so heartbreaking.
That police officer ends up holding Lita's hand. They thought Lita was completely unconscious, and yet she managed to squeeze his hand as he kept comforting her and telling her everything was going to be okay. And he said it was her comforting him.
She was doing that to comfort me. Knowing she was dying, like just her last moments, and she was just like in this like selfless,
just a compassionate.
Exactly.
Now, Lita is rushed to the hospital. The doctors could not save her, and Lita dies 30 minutes later. Now, Yvette Miller is here, and she's Lita's friend. She will be with us throughout. She's awesome.
She's amazing.
And she says the thing about Lita is that she drew people in. She had a lot of friends. She was a great person.
Yeah.
She was really, really big in the community.
Everyone loves her. I mean, it's one of those where we get just a round table of everybody that we're going to meet. Everyone just has nothing but glowing nice things to say about her.
And Lita lived in the exclusive Buckhead neighborhood in Atlanta.
Yeah, that neighborhood is beautiful.
It's like all mansions. It's a very rich area. We're told like shootings just don't happen here.
So the neighborhood is on edge because remember, now there's a mad shooter on the loose.
Who ran away out of the complex. And we're like, what?
In broad daylight. That always gets me.
I know. So here's the evidence at the scene. There's a bullet fragment. There are 2 shell casings, and the box of roses is actually really important because 2 shots from a 9mm gun went through the box of roses.
Yeah, and the story is obviously all over the news. It's like a shooting and a murder in this like really wealthy suburb. It's just horrible. It's all over the news. We meet Deb Miller Landau. This woman wrote the book on this case.
Yeah.
And she is pretty sassy throughout. Like I kind of love when we come back to Deb.
The book is called A Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yeah, but
Like
this
the
case is
song.
really personal to her because she's been covering it, since 2004, which, remember, this crime happened in 1988.
Yes.
And she's covering it in 2004, and she's so deep into the story that she writes a book about it. And she, obviously she didn't know Lita, but she feels very personally connected to her.
Yeah, she spoke to everyone that Lita knew, so yeah, it feels personal.
But this is where we learn that prosecutor Clint loves puzzles. Tell us everything, GP.
Okay, Clint Rucker's here. He's a former ADA in Fulton County. This case is very personal to him also, but he loves puzzles, and this actually helps him with his work as a prosecutor.
Yeah.
And I love this so much because he's here with this big puzzle on his desk, and he's like putting the pieces together.
While talking to Deborah Roberts.
Right, Deborah Roberts is covering this case.
I love
and he's
her.
explaining to her like how the puzzles connect him to his job. Cannot stress
It's
how
so
much I love
puzzles
this.
are the thing I think that I will love. We once got a 1,000-piece puzzle, and we have this chest of drawers in our hallway.
Okay.
And I decided I was going to just put all the pieces out there, and Daisy and I were going to slowly do it over weeks. About 3 months later, Steve just swooped it all into the
Okay,
trash.
it's enough already. 3 weeks.
I know.
If you don't have a dedicated table to
I know.
it's too much.
My mom used to do puzzles and then glue them to things and hang them on the wall.
No, you know what? Good. She worked hard on them.
She's a lesbian. We were wanting for art tastes in our house growing up.
Worked hard on it. I say great. Put up those puzzles.
Which is not to say that lesbians can't have amazing taste in art, because I know that is true. But in our home, we did not
you were
believe in
desperate.
taste in art.
The apple does not fall far.
That's exactly right. Thank you so much.
Travel down the road and back again.
Girl, ancient nutrition is back. Look, the body is a wonderland, if I may say so.
Oh my goodness.
And the thing about ancient nutrition is on a mission to create high-quality supplements that combine the best of ancient wisdom and modern science. I mean, we'll never stop learning how we can treat our bodies better, right?
That's right. Every day's a school day.
Right.
And Ancient Nutrition's multi-collagen advanced lean supplement contains 10 types of collagen from 10 real food-based sources.
And girl, they're comparing this collagen to the fountain of youth. We've never found the fountain of youth, but we did find collagen.
Oh, we found it all right.
Taking the years off.
This formula is powered by clinically studied ingredients that promotes fat loss and healthy weight management, as well as building lean muscle. I love that.
I
lean
know.
muscle.
And collagen can also help reduce joint discomfort and improve the look and growth of your skin, hair, and nails.
Plus, Ancient Nutrition's multi-collagen advanced lean is delicious and easy to work into your daily routine by mixing it into your morning coffee or your favorite smoothie.
I've been mixing it into my morning coffee, and I gotta tell you, it's like a great little way to start the day. I know that I'm doing the right thing for my bod, the hair, the nails, the hips, the heels.
Sure. And right now, Ancient Nutrition is offering 25% off your first order when you go to ancientnutrition.com/TCO.
That's ancientnutrition.com/TCO for 25% off your first order.
ancientnutrition.com/TCO. Like, it's ancient, but it's modern.
It's
You see what
ancient,
I'm
but
saying?
it's modern because, like you said, every day's a school day. We're always learning about
There
how
you
to take
go.
better care of ourselves.
So Clint says in both cases and puzzles, he says,
When I'm putting together a puzzle, not only in real life, but also a murder case, I make an assessment about what it is I'm working with. I start to identify pieces of the puzzle that are foundational.
he identifies the pieces that are foundational.
Yes.
That's how he works with puzzles. That's how he works with his cases.
All right,
it's
do
all
it, Clint.
the same.
Don't fuck us on this, Clint.
And he doesn't.
I know.
But he tells us, look, there was a lot of pressure on Lita, and he says black women need to be exceptional in order to be seen.
Yeah.
It was the case when Lita was growing up in the 50s and 60s. It was the case when she was murdered in the 80s, and it is still the case today.
It is, and it shouldn't be the case, but guess what? Lita's parents are also exceptional.
They are.
You know what I
Right.
mean? They shouldn't have to be, but they just happen to be.
Yeah, because we learned, like, Deborah Roberts grew up in Georgia, so
Yes.
this case is personal to her, too. Like, everyone sitting here either spent a lot of time on this case, or it means a lot to them, or it's happening in their hometown, like Deborah Roberts.
Yeah, so Lita's parents are Emery and Joanne McClinton. They were both, quote, power players. Emery was on the State Board of Transportation. Joanne was in the state legislature. She would talk about, like, interpersonal meetings she'd had with Martin Luther King. Like, she was in the room with him when he was, like, leading meetings.
Yeah, and like Deborah Roberts says, she explains that in the 70s, where she grew up, she says this place was still emerging from the shadows of segregation and racial tension.
Yes.
And lawyer Clint says, like, this was a time, Atlanta in the 70s, like, this was a time where some black people were, he uses the word ascending in social circles and professionally. This was the case for Lita's parents.
Yeah, Lita grew up going to cotillions, like very posh and upper class. I was like, we had a different growing up experience, Lita.
Cotillions?
I was not invited to a single cotillion, in fact.
Joanne, Lita's mom, was Maynard Jackson's campaign manager when he ran for mayor and won.
He was the 54th mayor of Atlanta.
So she's in very important rooms. They call them like power players and like movers and shakers in Atlanta in the 70s.
But like, there's got to be a lot of pressure growing up their daughter, right? So like, that was like she was very happy and well-adjusted. Her parents like loved her. But, you know, there was expectation on her. Her family really wanted her to go into politics. She was not interested.
Right. And the timing is really important. It's the 70s. The civil rights movement was like yesterday.
Right, exactly.
So
her mom knew Martin Luther King.
So it's all like there's a lot of pressure for Lita to like continue the legacy of this family.
Yeah, well, she goes to Spelman College.
After high school, she went on to Spelman College. Her parents sort of hoped that she would enter the political arena like they were, but she was very much into fashion.
She wants to go into fashion, and she has got a job working at a boutique in Lenox Square.
Right. And this boutique is where she meets Jim Sullivan.
Yeah.
And he's a white guy. He's about 10 years older. She's 24 years old at the time.
Yeah.
But everyone says she was just totally smitten.
And they describe like how he just showered her with like gifts and attention. Like he just like zoomed in on her like the second he met her.
Love bombed her.
Love
Big
bombed
time.
her.
We didn't have that term in the 70s,
Yeah.
but that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. And, you know, another difference they explained between them was class. Like she was raised in Atlanta society. He was raised on, quote, the gritty streets of Boston's South Side.
Southie.
Nobody calls it the South Side. It's Southie.
He's from Southie. Went to Holy Cross, got a degree in economics, and people are like, all of that is fine.
Yeah,
like, that's
great.
not bad. But
You hate Holy Cross.
No, my best friend went to Holy Cross. I spent many a weekend there.
Did you really?
Yeah, in Worcester.
Oh my God.
Come on now.
I know Holy Cross.
I am worldly.
It's Worcester,
and
by the way.
wise. Worcester.
Worcester.
But it's spelled like Worcester. I know. So all that is fine. But we learn very early he always wanted to be a rich person.
Yes.
So that might have been part of the reasons where he like set his sights on Lita because she was this high class
and
lady.
Clearly was a girl who came from money. But this guy inherits a thriving liquor distributorship from his uncle worth $3.2 million. I said, what in the Monopoly?
Yeah, right.
Uncle dies, leaves you $3.2 million in booze? Does it get better?
Crown Beverages.
Well, suddenly he's got money.
And he's like, great, my dream has come true. He was just handed all of this money. He didn't work for it.
Can I tell you, I did the conversion of like, what, $3.2 million from 1970 to 2025? That's like $40 million.
That's crazy.
So like, that is an insane, it's the buying power of $40 million today.
And it's also, it was a thriving business. So there was room to grow.
You can't go wrong.
No.
Why did we do this instead of opening a liquor store? Should we open a liquor store?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah. I think we should leave it to the professionals.
What would we call it?
I don't know. Any number of our bar names. I'd rather go into the bar business than the liquor. The liquor store is like, that's like what you get on your way to the fun part.
I guess.
The liquor store is like...
We'll call our liquor store the fun part.
The fun part.
That's what our liquor store is going to be called.
Are you going to work the register?
Maybe.
Okay,
I'm good with customers.
That's true, you are.
You know what I mean?
Now, Lita's parents are not thrilled.
So when the McClintons met Jim for the first time, they were like, who is this guy? He had this kind of manner that was very uncouth and brash, and they were sort of mystified about what their daughter saw in him.
He's a dirtbag from the jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's got look, and I will give it to the guy. He's got a great head of hair. Look, I'm not like, this is not a sexualization. Like, this is a me wishing I had hair like this. There are those men who never lose their hair, and he's one of those guys. That's the only thing he's got going for him.
Well, Lita was an incredibly smart and successful woman, and he turned on the charm for her.
Yes.
It was there for him to turn on, but her parents really did not like him.
Yes.
And Deborah Roberts is like, there's also the issue of race, which cannot be ignored, because she's like, yes, everyone was watching TV's first interracial couple on the Jeffersons.
Yeah.
But I looked this up. The New Georgia Encyclopedia says, by 1965, sweeping federal civil rights legislation prohibited segregation and discrimination. And this new phase of race relations was first officially welcomed into Georgia by Governor Jimmy Carter in 1971. This is the 70s now.
Yeah.
This just happened.
Well, they're going to say at some point in here that it was only 10 years before that the law banning interracial marriage was struck down.
Right. So, like, this was happening in 1971. We're in the 70s now.
Yeah.
Like, and we're in Georgia. I know it's Atlanta, but like there's still a lot here. And Deborah Roberts really hits that point home. Like race is a factor here.
Well, and of course, but like, and it would be a factor today, even. You know what I mean? But it would be one thing if they like loved each other and like he was like in it, didn't care, was gonna fight the fight. You know, he's just a dirtbag. He's just not like that.
And the thing is, everything is fine. Like no one knows that yet, except for Lita's parents because they clocked him. But when Jim proposes to Lita, her parents are like, "You can't marry this man. Please don't marry him." But Lita says yes.
Yeah, and like to her parents' credit, they don't do any of that like cutting her out of the will, throwing her out of the family.
What are you gonna do? You know, like, and he's charming enough, I guess, sometimes. But they're like, there's something off about this guy.
Yeah,
and everything's going fine except the night before her wedding, Jim drops like 7 major bombs on Lita.
He tells Lita that he has been married before and that he has 4 children. Lita was shocked.
And then, the very same night, Jim Sullivan blindsides his bride-to-be again.
He whips out a piece of paper and he says, "Can you sign this?" And then she looks down and sees that he's drawn up a prenuptial agreement.
He presents Lita with a prenup.
Yes.
And it says that if they ever got divorced, Lita would get nothing.
Right.
This is the night before their wedding. Everything is paid for. Everything is set up. She's getting married in hours, and he springs all of this on her.
She's had to fight her family in order for this wedding to happen. Like, Lita is all in. She's leading with her heart. She also doesn't fucking need his money. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's like he was trying to hide the red flags for all this time, and hours before they get married, he like shows her all the red flags, and he trapped her, and it worked because she gets married the next day.
Right. By the way, the 4 kids that we never meet.
Or hear about ever again.
Anything about. I'm like, are they even real?
I mean, probably. I'm sure this other woman like, ran for the hills.
Not a fake lie that you make up to like
I
to
mean,
see
what
if
a
she'll stick
bummer.
around.
Like, oh God.
I know. 4 kids. Can
like
you...
the night before the wedding?
If Ryan Phillippe dropped that on me, I would have some questions.
Wow.
I'm not sure I'd go through with it.
That's serious.
If I'm being Ryan Phillippe.
know it's serious.
Another one of those guys with that head of hair he's never going to lose.
Well, we'll see.
You know what I mean?
We'll see what happens. They get married in 1976. Lita's mother would eventually describe that day as the worst day of her life. And I think even that was the case regardless of what happened to Lita.
Yeah.
I think they just hated him so much and they knew this was wrong for her and he trapped her.
Well, not only did he trap her, he then moves her away from her family.
So he moves her to Macon, Georgia, 80 miles away from Lita's home in Atlanta. And things are very different in Macon, Georgia. They did not get the civil rights memo. I think it got lost in the mail.
And it's like a very wealthy neighborhood called Shirley Hills. It's, quote, the white part of Macon, Georgia. And so, like, Lita gives up her job and her income. He doesn't want her working. But
remember what the prenup said.
Exactly. Then she, exactly. But also,
Joanna and Emery McClinton feared for their daughter. Being part of an interracial couple in Macon, Georgia in the 1970s would have been extraordinarily challenging. The neighbors were like, you have the gall to bring a black wife to Shirley Hills. People threw garbage on their doorstep.
Garbage on their doorstep. Garbage.
Like, these ignorant townspeople made it very clear that they were bigots and racist and that Lita wasn't welcome there. Imagine how scary and lonely that must have been for her.
Especially when you're at home all day with nothing to do. Like, she doesn't have a job. She's not raising the kids. Like she's just sitting around the house in a neighborhood where people hate her.
Yeah. Well, Lita's too awesome and she makes friends anyway.
Yeah.
Like Yvette.
Travel down the road and back again.
Girl, Helix is back. These are the mattresses that we've been sleeping on for years that have completely changed our lives.
Yeah, I used to be a sleeper that didn't sleep very well. And I didn't know how I was going to get the help. But I'm telling you, I took this Helix sleep quiz.
Well, that's what it's all about. That's how they figure out the best mattress for you and your sleep partner.
Right. So Mike took it too.
Yeah.
Because I'd like toss and turn. I would sleep hot. I want this. I want that. And the thing is, no matter who you were sleeping with in your bed.
None of our business, by the way.
None of our business, but you should be sleeping well and have a good night's sleep. And then they tell you what mattress is best for you. And we got the Midnight Lux and we love it. And Fiona, our dog, loves it too.
We are sleeping better than we ever have in our lives.
And because of that, you're waking up refreshed and you're having a decent next day.
Exactly.
Instead of waking up like all groggy or your back hurting or whatever.
It does make getting out of bed harder because it's so nice and comfy.
You know who springs out of bed every morning because she slept so well?
Fiona. I'm like, who's the other lady in your bed?
Fiona. I'm like, you slept really well. You were very rested. It's very cute. She's like, let's go.
I want Fiona to take the sleep quiz.
I know. She's She's like, I'm good.
So fam, get in on the action. Sleep as well as Fiona.
Yeah, go to helixsleep.com/TCO for 27% off site-wide, plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase.
Come on.
Plus the free bedding bundle. That's 2 dream pillows, a sheet set, and a mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. So one more time, because I know that's a lot of information. Go to helixsleep.com/TCO for 27% off site-wide, plus 2 free dream pillows with mattress purchase, plus the free bedding bundle, which is 2 dream pillows, a sheet set, and a mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order.
That's helixsleep.com/TCO to get all the stuff that Jillian just said.
Twice.
Totally.
So Yvette Miller is here, though.
Yes.
And she says, and with no shade at all, really, she's like, here's the thing. Lita could never pay for lunch. Yvette was always picking up the tab. And the reason she's saying that is because they were rich.
Right.
Like, Lita could 100% afford lunch with Yvette.
Yes.
But Yvette's like, why didn't she ever have access to all this money? Like, that is a major red flag for her because he had the money.
And she doesn't have a job.
And so she's like, why wasn't he giving her any access to this money so that we could go for lunch?
And then we learn how cheap he was. This guy, he's a millionaire. But Deb, the author, who is like particularly bothered by this because it's awful and disgusting.
Well, it's the worst kind of cheapo
when
you're rich.
Exactly.
To be a cheapo when you're rich.
He would remember, he inherited his business from his dead uncle. He's wearing his dead uncle's clothes everywhere.
Instead of buying a new suit, he's wearing his dead uncle's old suits.
And then
not for like, it's not charming. No, it's not a good thing.
No,
this guy's an asshole.
No. He would also use the plastic wrap from dry cleaning as saran wrap for food in the kitchen.
Like, what?
Like, imagine unwrapping your dry cleaning and being like, I'm going to save. Even Steve Tipton doesn't do this.
Even Steve, and you know.
And you know.
What's the most out of bounds where you were like, Steve, girl, really?
Oh, okay. I mean, I've broke him mostly. And to be fair to Steve, I came into our marriage way more broken than
sure.
He fixed me in a lot of ways. But like breaking him of the cheapness, where it's like, we're not going to drive 45 minutes out of the way to avoid a $5 toll, you know?
Literally at what cost? At that point, you're paying. I know tolls are ridiculous, but sometimes you just got to pay for the convenience to just go somewhere in a straight line.
You know what else he does? Oh, I hate this. And he's taught Daisy to do it. They pick up change off the street.
Okay. No.
Not to spend, I guess, but like
to like put it in a little coin container and then cash it in.
I've just seen Daisy pick up pennies. I'm like, where did you learn that? She's like, Daddy does it. I was like, oh my God.
Steve.
I know.
It's a whole new layer.
I love my husband so much, but oh my God.
It's a little bit, the dry cleaning thing is saran wrap. It's like the little close, it's adjacent, it's close enough.
You know what my mom did for years? She saved every sauce she ever got with takeout. We would have like hot mustard from 5 years ago in a Tupperware in the cabinet.
Like from Chinese food, the hot mustard.
Tell me your parents did one weird, gross thing.
Yeah, the hot mustard, all the condiments from Chinese food, definitely there was like a little baggie in the fridge for sure. Because sometimes it's easier than buying like the enormous jar of the hot mustard.
Or like the soy sauce you're going to use twice a year.
Oh no, soy sauce we always have to have.
Oh, really?
The Kiko Man low sodium, I'll die on this hill. We always have it. And when we're kind of running low, it's like Frank's hot sauce too.
Oh my God.
If we're kind of running low, I'm like, Mike, write it down. We got to put it on our list now. I will never, it's ranch.
Yeah.
Frank's hot sauce and Kiko Man low sodium. Those are the condiments I need. And ketchup and mustard. I'm a big condiment person. I'm big into sauces.
Are you a ketchup girly?
Oh, for sure.
I love
in
ketchup
what
too.
Way?
Well, I just like ketchup is disgusting if you think about it.
I don't care.
I know, me either, but it really is gross. But like I just can't imagine. Like you're I don't know, you're fancy. I didn't think that like
what? How did ketchup hurt you? How do we live in a world where ketchup like offended you in some way? What happened to you?
I think it's because I'm from Massachusetts and we like put ketchup on everything.
Okay.
So But if you think about what ketchup is, it's like tomato paste and sugar and water. It's so gross.
It's delicious.
I know. It's really
It's
good.
just fine.
You know what? I feel better about myself having had this conversation.
I'm so glad I was able to help.
I know. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
He had her on a $150 per week allowance.
Right. So just to recap, he's mean to her because Yvette's like he wasn't nice to her also. So he's mean to Lita. He's financially abusing her. He's a cheap weirdo and he's cheating on her on a regular basis, we learned.
Yes.
Because one year, a Christmas card comes. This idiot. A Christmas card comes.
A Christmas card came addressed to Jim. She opened it. A woman wrote in something like, missing your kisses. The woman's return address was on the envelope, so Lita went and spoke to her, and the woman said that she had been having an affair with Jim.
This idiot it, put her return address on it.
Siobhan knew what she was doing.
And
you know
Lita
what I mean?
goes to find her and like ask her a whole bunch of questions about what are you doing writing love notes on Christmas to my husband?
I know.
Tracks her down.
But I mean, like, that lady knew. She did that on purpose.
Of course.
You know?
For the plot or whatever.
By the way, people who are cheating with, like, the married guy, he's never going to leave her for you.
No one leaves anybody.
Nobody ever leaves anybody.
It's like... Not like I have any experience with that at all. It's just a thing I've heard. It's a thing I've heard people say in movies. Like he is never going to leave.
They're never going to leave.
No. But anyway, so Lita tracks down this woman.
I'm just saying. By the way, Ryan Phillippe, I will leave my husband.
Okay, great. I think that you've been on the record for quite some time. He knows. If he wanted to, he would. Kind of thing. At this point, he knows. So,
but I will leave him.
I know.
Okay.
No, we know.
Okay.
So Lita tracks down this woman, confirms that Jim's been cheating on her, and gets the hell out of Macon, Georgia, and she goes home to be with her parents in Atlanta, and her parents are like, thank God
This is
you're
one of
here.
the things I love the most about her. She's not sticking around to ask questions. She's just like, fuck this, I'm out of here.
No, and she goes back to her parents, who of course are like, thank God we've been waiting for this phone call. Whatever, like, I'm sorry that this man is a piece of shit, but I'm like, they're just happy she's home.
Yes.
They just wanted her to be home.
But it doesn't last because he lures her back. Just writing the sentence turned my skin.
I know.
Turn my skin?
Turned something.
Turned
I believed
something.
you. Turn your stomach.
Thank you. He increased her allowance to $300. Her allowance. Now, that is $2,400 in today money. But, like, don't give her you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, she's like your partner.
Well, I'm going
to give her a credit card and don't ask any questions, Steve.
I'm going to make you really... Come on, Steve. I'm going to make you really sick now.
Oh, God.
Because, but, in the event of a divorce...
It still shows that all of their assets belong to Jim.
That's right. The successful business, Lita's Mercedes, multiple properties, even her jewelry, still belong to her husband in the event of a divorce.
But in an attempt at reconciliation, Lita signs the postnup.
We didn't mention that he would buy her jewelry when she would find out about the affairs as a way to keep her, but that jewelry is still in his name according to the postnuptial agreement.
Are you kidding me?
Can you imagine?
So a few months later...
And she signs it.
I know. And a few months later, without Lita's knowledge, this guy sells the liquor company for $5 million.
Equivalent to $40 million in today money.
And then he goes, oh, guess what? We're moving. We're moving to Palm Beach, Florida.
Now, he is the worst piece of shit in the world. To not be like, I don't understand how you don't have a conversation with your partner about your major life.
About
you know
how
what I mean?
you're moving farther away from her security system or people. He's isolating her.
Right.
We've been through this a million times because she went home with her parents. And I'm sure like this is what always happens. She probably like sort of started seeing things a little clearly. And that's always a problem for these assholes and these abusers because like, oh, she was like back home, people she loved, like maybe like some reason was starting to creep in and now he has to take her even farther away.
Right. And so they moved to Palm Beach. We see the house. It's called Casa Alita.
I have so much tea on the house.
You do?
Yes.
Because all we know from the doc is it's 17,000 square feet, 8 oceanfront bedrooms, and their own private beach. Like the house looks incredible.
This house is very, very, very famous.
It is?
So everyone in Palm Beach knows about this house.
Because of this case?
No. It was built in 1928. It's nicknamed... I'll wait till you're stopping taking this up. It's nicknamed the Ham and Cheese House because of the colors of the bricks.
How did you know my nickname in high school?
Ham and Cheese. Because of the colors of the bricks, everyone knows, like, oh my God, the famous Ham and Cheese House.
Oh my God.
But this house was famous when this piece of shit bought it.
It really?
It was famous. So he did a lot of, I'm not even going to say to his credit, but Jim did a lot of careful and important restorations to the house.
Oh, interesting.
And when I Googled it, it said that his sensitive restoration of the property in the early 80s was among the reasons this piece of shit was named to the town's then relatively new Landmarks Preservation Commission, for which he eventually served as chairman.
Oh my God.
This house was granted landmark protection by the town in December of 1979. So this house...
Wow.
So it was sold in 2013 for about $16 million.
Wow.
A couple from Connecticut, a part-time Palm Beach couple.
Of course.
They have $16 million to drop on a historical landmark. They're only there part-time.
I mean, just to zoom in on that for a second, because my mom did housing her entire life, housing for people who couldn't get housing.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up on Cape Cod. The number of vacant homes on Cape Cod, 2/3 of the year, the number of unhoused people in this country that need a fucking place to live.
I know.
It is just unconscionable.
I've been thinking about that too after lockdown when like so many people went remote, so many people went virtual, like all of these empty, vacant buildings.
Yes.
Like, can we convert them and sort of do something
I know.
with the housing crisis,
there are
please?
families living on the street.
But what's interesting about this house, too, is that it seems to sell like every 10-ish years.
Oh, interesting.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
It sold 12 years ago. So I don't know. It is like, but it's a landmark. It's an official landmark.
Yeah.
This piece of shit did a lot of, like, you kind of go in there and then just have it decorated and then photographed. It's like, it's a thing. It's like a commodity, not just like a place to live in and like be a home.
Yep.
It's sort of like it's an asset.
Yep. I
Which
totally
all property
understand
is,
that.
but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you Google it, it'll be a lot of articles with a lot of professional photos, and the designer will be interviewed about their inspiration for the design.
Oh my God.
It's just one of those houses.
What made you look it up?
Because it's called Casa Alita, I was like, if it's named something, there's got to be something to it. And oh my God, down the rabbit hole did I fall.
Travel down the road, back again.
Girl, Shopify is back. You know how you can tell. Here's the sound.
Ooh.
Look, there was a time for TCO before Shopify and a time after. We call it the before and the after. The after has everything we sell on our website and our online store streamlined in a way that even I understand how to use it.
Yeah, you're watching Only Murders, right?
Of course. My friend Michael is on it from college.
Okay, well, we love Selena Gomez.
Yes, of course.
Do you know that Rare Beauty, which I also love, uses Shopify?
I didn't, but that makes perfect sense.
Obviously, right? It's home of the #1 checkout on the planet.
Yeah, and the not-so-secret secret, girl, ShopPay boosts conversions by up to 50%.
Yeah, so what that means is way fewer carts going abandoned and way more sales going, what's that sound?
Cha-ching.
There you go.
So if you've got a growing business like us, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling and strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between, girl.
Yeah, businesses that sell more sell on Shopify.
It's true. We love it. Honestly, Steve lives by it. So fam, upgrade your business and get the same checkout Selena Gomez apparently uses.
We have so much in common.
I know.
Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/obsessed, all lowercase.
Don't get me started. It's all lowercase, fam. Go to shopify.com/obsessed to upgrade your selling today.
Shopify.com/obsessed.
Girl, Home Chef is back. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What is your favorite vegetable?
Oh, God. All of them.
Well, my favorite is zucchini. I know nobody ever says that. We had this incredible Parmesan crusted chicken dinner last night that came with Parmesan crusted zucchini. So we were like crusting the zucchini in the Parmesan and then sort of like pan frying them.
Zucchini's a great answer, by the way.
Well, I've never met anybody who likes zucchini as much as I do.
Oh, my God.
I know. And Home Chef says it to us all the time.
Here's the thing about Home Chef. Home Chef delivers fresh ingredients and chef-designed recipes conveniently to your doorstep to simplify your cooking experience.
Now get this, fam. Users of leading meal kits have rated Home Chef #1 in quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. Even I can make these recipes.
Okay, that's saying something.
That's really saying something.
So they have a lot of options. If you want the classic meal kits with the pre-portioned ingredients, great. They also have quick 30-minute recipes. They have oven-ready options. Just throw it in the oven. They have microwave meals. They have this dedicated family menu.
It's also economical, fam. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. I mean, you're getting exactly what you need and nothing more.
Yeah, and when meal planning ends up on the back burner, check out Home Chef's new 5-ingredient meals that simplify prep with super easy recipe steps using just 5 fresh, pre-portioned ingredients.
It makes you feel like you can cook. Honestly, that's my favorite part.
I can totally cook
I
now.
know you can.
Thanks to
cannot.
this, though.
I know. So, fam, for a limited time, Home Chef is offering, here we go, our listeners 18 free meals, plus, say it, girl,
free dessert for life.
And, of course, free shipping on your first box.
Go to homechef.com/TCO.
That's homechef.com/TCO for 18 free meals and
free dessert for life.
Homechef.com/TCO. Must be an active subscriber to get
free dessert.
We pull it out of the box first and we eat it while we're putting the groceries away.
There's always a catch, but it's worth it.
I know.
So anyway, still, even though this was like a super rich place, we learn, quote, this was not a welcoming place for a Black woman to live.
No, and it's like Jim very much wants to be a part of the Palm Beach social elite. So learning that he got to be the chairman of the Historical Society or whatever, like that's exactly what he wants. But
it was not a welcoming place for a Black woman to live. And when he found out that to sort of scale the level of social plateau he was looking at in Palm Beach, having a Black wife was a serious impediment to that.
He starts leaving her at home and to these like socialite events, which, by the way, Lita would be an incredible asset at because she's smart and she's charming and she grew up in this life. But because everyone is so fucking racist down there that her being a Black woman was a problem, quote, Jim ditches her, leaves her at home, and starts dating Suki Rogers, who is a Korean-born socialite.
Yeah.
Which is, again, to say, it's not that it was interracial, it was that Lita was black.
Exactly. Now, Suki, they describe as beautiful with a spicy personality. I have since updated my Instagram
great, perfect.
bio just
Perfect.
because it felt suiting.
She walked so you could run, is what you're trying to say. Now, they're dating. He's still married to Lita.
Yes.
And he has enough money to do these very sensitive restorations to this historical house even then.
Yeah.
And Lita can't pay for lunch with a friend.
Exactly. And by now they've been married for 10 years.
Now, so after 10 years of this shitty marriage,
Yeah.
Lita finds a bra in their bed and she's fucking done.
Are you going to say what Deb said or should I say it?
You can say it.
It was the bra that broke the camel's back.
Great job, Deb. I get it.
Deb. Like, Deb, she's been working on this story for 25 years. Like, God love her.
This is very Beth Karras of you, Deb.
Totally. It's the bra that broke the camel's bed.
So she finds this bra and she's like, you know what? I'm done. So she goes back to Atlanta and the very next day she files for divorce.
God love her. Yes. Yeah.
So the husband, of course, fights her every step of the way. He makes this a nightmare for her.
Because remember, he had a prenup and a postnup. Everything that she owns is his.
So she's going to divorce court to contest this.
Yes.
And I think she has a good case considering this cheap bastard was cheating on her the entire time and
100%.
flaunting his money around, restoring this like famous house and cheating on her in public, being photographed with these socialites. Like, I think she has a good case.
No question. And it's January 16th, 1987. That is the date. That's the court date. And she's thinking she's going to walk away with up to like $1 million in cash, which is $2.7 million.
And the thing that I think is really important to say, all Lita wants to do is move on.
Yes.
All she wants is her things, her house that she had before him, her jewelry, her car that she had before, and she just wants to move on. She wants him, like, he's making this a nightmare because that's what abusers do.
Right.
She just wants to be done.
She's
not fighting to fight. She just wants her things and she wants to go back home.
And this is when we learn this is the day that Lita is killed. It's the day of the court hearing where she's taking him to divorce court to like get a moving on money.
The judge was going to decide the settlement that day.
Yes.
So obviously the husband is the first and main suspect.
He stands to gain everything.
Everything. Property, money, assets, everything.
Yeah.
Now the cops go down to Florida to speak to him.
Because remember, she was killed in Atlanta.
Right. At her beautiful townhouse that she had before him.
Yes.
Detectives went down to speak to him in Palm Beach, and they put him through a polygraph.
Jim Sullivan not only passes the polygraph, but there's something else. He has an alibi that puts him nearly 700 miles away from the crime scene.
He's confirmed to be in Palm Beach, 700 miles away from Atlanta.
And he passes a polygraph for whatever it's worth.
And I'm like, I still don't like it.
Yeah.
I still don't like it.
But like, my whole thing is like, nobody thinks he did it. Like, I hate it when these documentaries give us the 10 minutes of like, he's got a solid alibi. Nobody thinks he did it. We all think he hired somebody to do it.
Because he has the money.
Exactly.
And he's a fucking piece of shit.
Right.
So Jim is so cooperative with the police. He actually gives them a name.
Yes.
Their close personal friend, Marvin Marable, who's here with us. And let me tell you, dear listener, this shit gets messy. So messy, so fast. And Marvin's not being totally honest with us.
No, the first thing that Marvin Marable said, he was interviewed for the Palm Beach section, and he goes, they were barely rich for Palm Beach.
Marvin, you better watch it.
I know.
Because
This gets, oh, God damn it, it gets messy.
now, when Lita was murdered, her best friend Poppy was in the house.
Yes.
And so Poppy is this guy Marvin's wife.
Yes.
And so Marvin says, look, it got to the point where Lita's awful marriage had an effect on my marriage. He paints this picture of these two women, Lita and Poppy, sort of commiserating about their marriages. Or maybe what he's trying to say is that Lita, she was talking so much shit about her marriage to Poppy that she inspired Poppy to get a divorce from this guy Marvin.
Right.
Now, I'm like, wait a second.
That's not how it happened.
He doesn't explain how or why one divorce has to do with the other.
Right.
But in the middle of Lita really going through this abusive relationship and trying to get out of it and talking to her best friend, Poppy files for her own divorce.
Right. Right.
And so Marvin's like, not on my watch.
So then you decided to try something a little questionable after that.
You know, I have a background in law enforcement. I don't see it as questionable. It's your own telephone in your own house. I put a recorder on the, people call it a tap, on the phone, and I started recording conversations.
In the house phone.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin starts recording conversations on his own telephone in his own house, specifically to see what these two women are up to.
Now, he does it in secret. He used to work in law enforcement or whatever, so he knows how to tap his own phone in a way that they won't see.
And what he does is he records more than 300 hours of just conversations between Lita and Poppy.
Yeah.
And Marvin, you freaking narc, he goes right to Jim, the husband.
Exactly.
And tells him everything Lita was planning. Now, excuse me, she's in an abusive relationship. She's trying to get out, and you give...
Right.
Like, Marvin, you give this guy all of this ammunition to use against her. She's already in an unsafe situation.
It also gets off the rails so fast because he can't just call Jim and be like, here's all the dirt that might help you in your divorce settlement against your wife. I'm going to fly to Palm Beach under an assumed name. Like, what? Like, the high drama of the unnecessary high drama of it.
I just can't believe that Marvin, a black man who knew everything that Lita had gone through, is now giving this piece of shit white guy ammunition and putting Lita in very real danger.
Yeah, and it just seems like he's blaming Lita for his own marriage falling apart, so he's trying to get back at her.
And so now...
Something tells me Marvin doesn't like to take a look in the mirror.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Because now it's like the two shitty husbands versus the soon-to-be ex-wives.
Yes.
And now everything's a mess. And Jim's like, no, Marvin, girl, keep recording. I'll pay you $30,000.
Because Marvin says
Marvin's like, girl, I'll do it for free.
He goes down to Palm Beach to like tell Jim all the dirt that Lita's saying about him. And then he's like, but I'm going to stop recording. No, you didn't, girl.
No.
You're looking for an excuse for why when James was like, keep recording and I'll pay you 30. Like, why you let him pay you to keep recording your wife in secret.
But however, because these women are smart and these men are dumb.
Yes.
Just a few days after Marvin and Jim's secret meeting at Casa Elita,
Poppy and Lita somehow discovered the recording device.
How did they react?
It wasn't nice.
It wasn't nice.
No, she speeds up her divorce process.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah,
she files for divorce the very next day. Good. Can you imagine?
Oh, God.
And they report Marvin to the cops, and he's charged with possession of an eavesdropping device.
Which I'd never heard of before.
You piece of shit.
Possession of an eavesdropping device.
Like,
I love
don't
it.
understand what doing this to Lita was, how it would help him in any
know.
way. You're
but he's trying to make money. He's selling information to James.
But how it started, like, Marvin, what was your thought process of like, wow, this woman's really suffering and my wife is there for her. Let me record them. Like, in what world would you betray your wife and her best friend?
He's leaving out how shitty he knew his marriage was. He knew his wife was talking shit about. Like, I don't think these two, Poppy and Marvin, slept in the same bedroom maybe ever. You know what I mean?
But like, for him to sit here and be like, yeah, well,
I know.
Like, for him to say earlier, Lita was such a gem, and then to put her in very real danger and conspire against both of these women, like
I know.
Marvin.
I know.
How
He's the
dare you
worst.
sit there with a straight face and say this to me?
Well, especially because Jim throws Marvin right under the bus. Because remember how Jim was being so helpful?
Well, this is perfect. So
Right.
Marvin's shitty behavior is actually perfect for Jim.
Yes.
Because when Jim tells this to the cops, of course they're going to look at Marvin.
He literally says, you should look at Marvin. All I know is that he's been recording phone calls on his wife.
And she's getting a divorce too, and I don't know, shit's bad. Like, this was perfect for Jim. Like, Marvin, what were you thinking?
But more to the point, Marvin, why are you here? Why are you sitting down and telling us the
you know
story?
you're being recorded. We can see you, Marvin. Like, are you serious?
I want a t-shirt that says, we can see you, Marvin.
See you, Marvin.
I know. Why these people sit down?
What is wrong with these
I
men?
know. They sit down to tell a story in which they only look terrible. Why?
It's like when the lie also makes them look bad. When this
Right.
happens all the time, where it's like, no, I couldn't have killed her because I was cheating on her. Like, even the lie to save your own ass is bad.
You know what I wake up in the middle of the night laughing about sometimes?
What?
When you do the actress.
What?
When you do the...
Oh no, I'm scared. I never know what it's going to be.
When you do the actress in those Chris Hansen videos, when she's like...
Oh, did you bring the condoms? Cool, I'm just taking all my clothes off. I'll be right there. I just celebrated my 14th birthday. As she's inching back.
Oh my God.
You never see her.
I
You
know.
only see her like...
Totally. You brought the condoms?
You brought the condoms in the porn, right? Okay, cool.
I have to finish my 8th grade science fair project,
I'm just going to get some high C and I'll be right back. Just get some Hawaiian punch, which is delicious, by the way. Let's not talk any shit about Hawaiian punch.
But it's also the way that you exit the scene because you always turn with your back with like you say it over your
I'll be right
shoulder.
back. No, just you take your clothes off too. Hold on. Like Chris Hansen, why don't you have a seat?
And they always do. They always have the seat.
Except
you know?
that guy who ran.
I know.
And it did not end well.
Oh,
that
God.
episode has been scrubbed from the internet.
Is that
So, yes. Here's the thing. Marvin is questioned by police. He's 100% a suspect because he is like doing all these shitty things, but there's no evidence he's involved in Lita's death.
He didn't do this.
He just killed his own marriage.
Right. He's just an asshole, but he didn't do this.
But nothing is happening. The case is going cold. Months and months are going by.
Yeah.
No leads are panning out. And Lita's parents, of course, have made this case their whole life.
Yeah.
This was like their pride and joy, and they hated this guy on sight, and now something happened to her, and they know he had something to do with it, and nothing's going on.
They keep ruling out suspects. We learn about this guy named Bob Daniel. He was a suitor of Lita's. We learned that like a few months before the murder, he had come to Lita's house in a drunken rage and smashed his car into the garage.
What an asshole.
Like smashed his car into the garage.
And as the cops were taking him away, he said, "I'm going to kill that." So, serious red flag.
But that lead didn't go anywhere either.
Bob had just had quadruple bypass surgery. The police ultimately decided that Bob had nothing to do with it.
He couldn't have done it because he just had quadruple bypass surgery. So this rules him out. To which I said, is everybody okay?
No.
What is
the answer
wrong
is no.
with everybody?
No one is okay.
Nobody is okay.
Especially the men. No one is okay. Like,
I know.
Major walking violent red flag, but didn't kill her. But like, did he maybe kill, like, is everyone else around him okay?
I
Because
know.
if this is how he behaves, like, are any of his ex-wives or girlfriends all right?
Like, are any of them missing?
Like, what is going on?
I know.
So now these two veteran detectives are assigned to the case. Lieutenant Walker, they call Billy D. Williams. Detective Harris, they call Columbo. And the guy says, the dogged, disheveled detective of television fame. Can I say something?
Please.
He's a lieutenant. Columbo's a lieutenant. He's Lieutenant Columbo, okay? He's not a detective, he's a lieutenant.
Okay, yep.
I just want to say
and
that.
I feel like even I know, because they call him lieutenant, don't they?
He introduces himself. Hi, I'm Lieutenant Columbo.
Right.
And when they're annoyed at him, they're annoyed, oh, the lieutenant's here. It's very L.T. Columbo. You know who I had to correct about that?
Who?
Steve. Because in one of our Mad Libs that Steve did, or like a crossword puzzle or something,
no.
one of my notes, because Steve sent it, like, what do you guys think? And I was like, everything's great. He's not a TV detective. He's a lieutenant. And Steve was like, oh, okay. And then the next time he did it again. And I was like, I know this is a me thing. But he's a lieutenant.
Listen, Steve is a New York Times crossword puzzle person. He does it in pen 5 days a week. Like, he should know better.
He should know.
Yeah.
And it's Columbo. He's famous. He's amazing. He's very good at this. He doesn't carry a gun. We're
giving Steve a lot of shit today. I love you, honey.
But I said it very nicely, and I was like, he's just a lieutenant.
Because you only know how to say things
He's
nicely.
just a lieutenant.
I know.
He's a lieutenant. And all he does is get shitty rich people, rich white people without a gun. He doesn't need it. He's too good. So anyway, Harrison Walker are on the case.
Yes.
And we learned these roses are very important.
The roses found at the crime scene. Because remember, she opened the door because somebody was delivering her flowers.
And 2 bullets went through the box of roses.
Yes.
So they tracked down where they were purchased. It's the Botany Bay flower shop.
Right.
And the employee says some guy comes in at 8 a.m., bought the roses, paid in cash, left in a small car.
The florist gave a description of the man buying the flowers and another man who was waiting in the car.
So detectives know they're looking for at least 2 men.
Until yet another person is described to police. That flower delivery man who had looked Lita's neighbor right in the eye.
So the neighbor, remember the neighbor called 911 and I was like, he's going to be very important.
Yes.
He says, well, the guy who delivered the flowers was a middle-aged white guy. Dear listener, we have 3 men.
Yeah.
None of them are Jim the husband. None of them look alike.
Right. And we have sketches of all of them. That's how we know that they're 3 different people.
Right. 3 separate people are being described. None of them are Jim the husband.
Yeah.
So the cops are like, this is clearly a murder for hire plot. And
right.
I'm
it
like,
must be.
I'm like, whoever planned this is an idiot.
Right.
Keep
They
it simple,
always
stupid.
are. Right.
3 people means there's a bigger chance of tracking one of you down, or one of you is going to talk. Why couldn't the guy who bought the roses also be the driver, also be the shooter? I'm not telling you how to do your shitty plans, but like, great. Why are 15 people involved in this?
I know. But also, why can't we get the guys at this point?
I mean, please.
You know what I mean?
Travel down the road back again.
Girl, this message is sponsored by Greenlight. So look, I say this all the time. I was raised with no money, so I had no financial planning or teaching when I was a little kid. Greenlight is all about teaching the youngins how to prepare for life with a credit card, a debit card, how to manage their finances, how to look at your finances on an app, how to earn your allowance through their allowance tool. We are obsessed with it.
Yeah, so it's teaching kids how to save, invest, and spend wisely, and it's never too early, honestly.
Just to be clear, it's a debit card and money app for families, right? So the debit card can be customized. I always say we got a picture of Golden on ours. Daisy this weekend went out and bought a little stuffy because she had the cash, and she always asks us how much she has at the beginning of the weekend because she's done her allowance. We look at the app. She's got her little debit card. She takes it with her wherever she goes.
Yeah, and the Greenlight app also includes a chores feature.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
You can set up one-time or recurring chores customized to your household, to your family, and you can reward your kid with the allowance for a job well done, and everyone's keeping track of it.
Everyone's keeping track. It really gets her to do it, and I really love talking about money with her. She can look and see how much money she's saving. She's thinking ahead for the summer.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Well, it's like for kids and teens, too, by the way. They can build money confidence and skills in a fun, accessible way because they also have games.
Truly.
So now, like, it's not a scary thing for Daisy to talk about because she's got her own app and she's got her own card and she gets it.
And she's going to be way ahead of where I was when she's older.
So it's invaluable, like, no pun intended. It truly is.
It's also, that's why millions of parents and kids are learning about money on Greenlight already. Like, millions. I've personally signed up at least 20 people.
Fantastic.
So, fam, start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/TCO.
That's greenlight.com/TCO to get started.
Greenlight.com/TCO. Customize that debit card.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. I know.
I mean, adults should be able to get that, too.
I know.
Just saying.
So it's 1988. It's a year later. By the 1-year anniversary, there are still no suspects. But then they get the husband. They get the husband's phone records. And they can see that the day of the murder, about an hour after the murder happened, there was a collect phone call to Jim's home in Palm Beach.
And it was made from a payphone about 30 miles away from Lita's house.
Yes.
And it's done call.
Right.
Right. So
exactly.
But here's the thing. This call was made in one state and it was made to someone in another state. So that now means the FBI is involved.
Yay.
Please welcome FBI Special Agent John Kingston.
Hi, John Kingston.
He is obsessed with the phone calls.
Oh, well, it's kind of amazing. So they get the phone records for 6 months before the murder and 6 months after. And they see 3 days before the murder, Jim called Lita's neighbor. This story is so weird.
Sullivan said, had he seen anything suspicious around Lita's townhouse?
And Bob finds it strange. He hasn't talked to Jim in over a year.
Anything weird going on at Lita's house? Have you noticed anything strange happening around there lately?
What? Why are you asking me? Also, I haven't spoken to you in a year. Also, we're not friends.
But also,
why are you asking me?
But he tells the FBI there actually was something weird that happened.
So here, that same day, which is 3 days before Lita was killed, someone pounds on Lita's door at 5 a.m. and she doesn't answer. Thank you, Bob the neighbor, for that
Also,
information.
these idiot hitmen, like you're
5 a.m.
banging on a door
No
at
one's
5
gonna
in the
answer.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Now, that same day, again, 3 days before the murder, the pounding on the door at 5 a.m., Jim, the husband, calls a Howard Johnson's motel like a few miles away from Lita's house.
And they're like, we know he's not staying at a Hojo, so what's going on here?
FBI John goes to Howard Johnson's to dig deeper.
And I gotta tell you, having worked at hotels, my hat is off to these hotel people who kept all these records.
I can't believe it.
Because this was before computers, so this is all paper.
Right.
That they've organized neatly.
This is so crazy. So FBI John goes down there and he finds that there were 3 individuals staying there and they received this phone call from Jim.
Yes.
John pulls out, he goes, oh, watch this, 2020, Deborah Roberts. He leans over off camera and pulls out a copy of the form from Howard Johnson's. FBI John came with props.
This happened in 1988.
He's
It's
so
2025.
proud. Actual literal receipts.
I know.
He's like, look at it.
Yeah.
Now, the room is under the name Johnny Fur with 2 R's.
Yes.
And this form confirms that 3 people checked in. It also has the car they drove, which is a 1985 Toyota with North Carolina plates. Now, answer me this.
Yes.
Why do they have all of that information on this
Because
receipt?
you have to put your license plate information so that they don't have your car towed. So that people are parking at the Howard Johnson's to go to the grocery store
course.
or whatever. So that's a pretty standard hotel thing.
Oh, so it's like, only patrons of Howard
hotel.
Johnson can...
Yeah.
Understood. Okay,
Yeah.
great. That makes complete sense. Also, it doesn't matter because we're going to get these guys from this piece of paper. So I don't really care why we have it, but we have it.
We're going to kind of get them from this piece of paper, but
Kind
not
of.
before North Carolina shuts the whole thing down.
Not all of them, at
I know.
least. So these records are, remember, from January 13th, 3 days before Lita was murdered.
Yeah.
The same day as the pounding on the door, the same day as that weird call from the husband to the neighbor.
What I believe it to be is the killers having come down 3 days before the actual murder was committed, knocking on her door, her not answering it, and them having to stop and regroup and figure out what plan B is going to be.
The 5 a.m. visit was plan A.
Exactly.
She didn't answer the door.
Yep.
The Howard Johnson's little conversation was figuring out a plan B.
Long story short, they're trying to track down this Johnny Fur guy. There's a bunch of them in North Carolina.
FBI John goes, I'm in love with this registration card. It becomes a focal point of my life for the next several months. FBI John, I believe you. He's like, do you see it?
I know.
Do you want to zoom in on the form?
I know.
It really
Very organized.
This form really means a lot to me. Can you please zoom in on it, 2020? I don't know. I'm asking you one thing.
One little thing.
I don't even care about the lighting. I don't even care. Can you just focus on the form? It means everything to me.
But it's so frustrating because he's FBI. The local North Carolina FBI has to say, yes, you can come down here and like look for this guy. And North Carolina FBI says no.
John cannot wait to get down to North Carolina and get the son of a bitch.
I know.
And North Carolina puts a stop to it.
They literally say, we'll take it from here. They don't.
Because John's like, and there goes my case.
Yep.
Like, the case is dead.
And then he gets reassigned, and like that whole, like this one agent who's about to get the guy, it's all over.
North Carolina, two things. One, can you calm the fuck down? And two, can you do the right thing? Like, why are you pumping the brakes on this?
I know.
It makes no sense.
I agree.
But it really...
Raleigh, I'll see you in a couple weeks. Be nice.
Oh, well, you know, hopefully you learned from this.
Exactly.
Right? So meanwhile, husband Jim and girlfriend Suki are living it up in Palm Beach.
Oh, I hate them.
And they get married 8 months after Lita's murder.
Yes.
And they were already dating while Jim was married to Lita.
The bra that broke the camel's bed.
I mean, enough.
Enough,
Deb. I get it, but like, please. So they're going to parties. They're buying whatever. They're living it up at that house. And one day...
Oh, this is so good.
This idiot.
I know. It always comes down to some fucking traffic situation.
I know.
They're so dumb.
He's driving his Rolls Royce
I know.
and gets into a car accident and ends up in traffic court.
Yes.
This guy immediately blames Suki, the wife.
Yes.
Immediately.
And the idiot judge just believes him, throws the whole case out.
However, the cop who was on the scene catches wind and he says Suki wasn't even in the car that day. It was Jim driving alone. So now Jim has perjured himself, as has Suki.
Jim and Suki have both perjured themselves.
Correct.
So...
Because Suki takes the fall.
Of course she does.
Yeah.
So Jim is convicted of perjury, gets a year probation, and now he's on house arrest. Suki also gets a year of probation. She's freaking out.
She leaves his ass.
She files for divorce.
Oh, bye.
Bye. But because this guy's
She's like sugar and spicy, don't you remember?
Like, whatever. But because this guy's such a nightmare, the divorce goes to trial, and it's the talk of the town.
Well, because Suki is suing him for alimony. That's what the trial is about.
Because I'm sure she had to sign some stupid piece of paper giving everything up, too.
Exactly. And like this idiot, we're going to learn that he told her all of his secrets. You're going to let her get on this, give her whatever she wants.
No one is thinking two steps ahead.
I know.
Because Suki's
He's like,
testifying.
I'm going to have this hair forever.
Like, please. No, you're not, you asshole. Suki's testifying. We have video of this. On the stand, Suki says that Jim, the husband, told her that he hired someone to kill Lita.
Like, how did you not know that she was going to tell that? Like, of course that was going to happen.
More than that, this weirdly did not help her in the divorce settlement because the judge ruled in favor of Jim across the board.
What is wrong with our justice? I know. You're right. She literally solves Lita's murder, still gets nothing in the divorce.
Like, what? Men, can we just get rid of most of you, please, God? We would be so much better off.
What if it was just like, and I was just gone?
The amount of things that we could get done and we could fix.
I know,
and
but I
want to
live on that planet too.
Can we just do it first and then you will be invited just depending on...
But that's what you're going to tell all of us. You know what I mean? But you're never sending for us. That's never happening.
Well, wait a second. Okay. I have to confirm. I have to figure out with all the other women.
Okay, great.
I'm not making this decision by myself.
Great.
But I'll bring it up at the meeting.
Okay.
I will get back to you.
Great.
But I think everyone will agree.
Yeah.
Can we just hit reset and start fresh and then we'll see how it goes?
As Mike and Steve and I are getting onto the spaceship,
sure,
we know you're not sending for us.
Well,
we know you're not. I'm just letting you know.
Live your life like you want to be sent for.
Okay.
On this new planet that we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would this get me invited? Or would it not? Live your life as if we're all watching and keeping track.
Because you've set up that planet with fucking cameras. Like, there's, yeah.
Are you kidding?
Totally.
We're watching you, and we're keeping track of everything. So,
live your life like you want to be sent for.
Like you want to be invited to the good planet. Let us work on it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll see. So just say, should I?
The motto of Earth is like planet Earth where the toilet seat is always down.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And then some. Like, the toilet seat's the least of our worries, honestly.
Oh,
so there you go. So here's the thing. The FBI raids Jim's house.
Jim, now a convicted felon, has guns in the house. Of course, you're not allowed to have guns if you're a convicted felon. So they put together a sweeping affidavit to get a search warrant.
We did see a number of guns loaded into a car and this box carried out.
When they found the guns, he was in violation of his probation, and so he went to jail for 9 months.
So he goes away for 9 months on the stupid fucking gun charge.
We got one thing in the gun world right, I guess.
I guess.
The one thing.
I guess.
We did it.
So it's January 1992.
Yes.
They have been building the case against Jim. The statute of limitations is about to be up. Now,
5 days from now.
Here's what I learned.
Yeah.
It's a 5-year statute of limitation on murder for hire cases in 1992. That all changed in 1994.
Oh.
Effective September 13th, 1994, a murder for hire that results in a death is not subject to a statute of limitations.
Thank God. What is the statute? Why do we have a statute of limitations?
I know.
This is ridiculous.
But it took till 1994. So 1992, they only had 5 years to convict them.
Yeah.
So that's the clock they're racing against right now. So the clock is ticking, and we don't know who these other 3 guys are. The guy who bought the flowers, the guy who delivered the flowers, and the guy who drove, the guy who killed Lita.
Right.
Also, this couldn't be all one person, Jim. Okay.
I know.
So,
he's got money to burn.
And
you know
again,
what I mean?
when I say those things, I'm not
No, we're not
condoning
rooting for
it.
No,
I'm
we're
just saying,
we're pointing out how stupid they are.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Keep it up. Yeah.
So they have 5 days before this expiration date, and they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go to trial.
Yeah.
Let's just see what we can do.
Yeah. So November 2nd, 1992, first day of trial. It's in federal court, so there's no cameras. And Jim's got all the money, and this is pointed out for us. He's got money, he's white, and he's got the best lawyers in the country, they literally say.
And he's indicted for the murder for hire plot against his wife, Lita McClinton, using interstate phone calls.
Yes.
So it's all about what FBI John was uncovering.
If the mail doesn't fuck you, it's going to be the phone.
You know what I mean? Especially now.
I said, oh my God, Suki's back for round 2. We told that her testimony is full of bombshells, but we are not told what they are.
We don't know what they are
Yeah.
because as the prosecutors are arguing the case, weeks are going by.
The judge says, I'm forced to dismiss this case for lack of evidence.
Judge Marvin Shube ruled that, in effect, even if Sullivan may have been involved in the murder for hire, the government fell short in proving the phone calls related to the murder.
And then he looks at Jim and he says, you've been acquitted.
The judge is, quote, forced to dismiss the case due to lack of evidence. Thank you.
What the hell?
What the hell?
The judge is here being like, I really didn't want to do that. And we're like, but you know that you're the one in charge of this.
But you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, I didn't want to do it, but
you know
it was
what? Get him on the spaceship. No one is sending for that
I
guy.
didn't want to do it, but there was a rich white guy in front of me. My hands were tied.
With that head of hair.
I had to let him go.
I had to let him go.
It was the death of a black woman,
I know.
and there was a rich white guy. My hands were tied.
What would you do?
I had to let him go.
What would you do?
Between a rock and a hard place. You see what I'm saying? I had to let him go. He killed a black woman. There was nothing I could do.
There was nothing I could do.
So the husband is a fucking free man. Lita's family is devastated. The system has let them down once again.
Yeah. They file a wrongful death suit in a civil court in Florida, and they win a $4 million judgment. He's able to hide his assets so they get no money. Can we do something
like they
about
always do?
But I mean,
OJ did the same thing.
There's got to be a way we can fix that. There has to be a way.
I know. Like how he can now hide all his assets.
I'm thinking about all the things you all are going to get done when we're gone. That's going to be on the top 10. I would
Durst
think.
got away with it too.
I know.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
No, we'll take care of it. We have a long list. Everyone's up for it though, right, girlies? We can do it. Come on, don't fail me now, right?
Okay.
So this sucks. Jim is not held accountable for anything.
Yeah.
He got away with planning Lita's murder and all the other abusive shit that he's done until it's 1998. It's 11 years after Lita's murder.
Oh my God. Come through Beaumont, Texas.
Belinda Trahan is here. She lives 700 miles away.
I
and
love her.
Belinda, she has a story. She has a boyfriend named Tony.
Yeah, Belinda and Tony live together in Albemarle, North Carolina. If that sounds familiar, it's because that's where that FBI guy was trying to go to find the guy.
And North Carolina said, nope.
No, thank you. This guy, Tony's a long-haul truck driver. So she works for an attorney, this Belinda woman. And she tells this attorney...
Belinda tells her boss about a time that Tony came home from a long-haul trucking trip and said that a rich white man in Florida offered to pay him to, quote, take care of his black wife in Georgia.
To, quote, take care of his black wife in Georgia.
Belinda's like, I'm sorry, what?
Belinda didn't believe it. She's like, no. You've been gone. You've been traveling. You met another woman.
You're cheating on me.
You're absolutely cheating on me.
And I just want to be clear, Tony drives a moving truck.
Right.
That's important.
Yes. But then Tony takes her to meet this rich white guy in a diner somewhere.
He's like, no, I'm not cheating on you. Why don't you come meet the man who's going to pay me to kill his black wife?
Right, exactly.
Are words Tony said to Belinda. And she's like, okay.
Belinda goes to the Waffle House.
She goes to the diner, and Belinda's like, I watched the rich white guy
Yes.
hand my boyfriend a stack of cash.
But it's like, what's his name? James? What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Now you've got another witness watching you pay this man to kill your wife.
Yeah.
What is going
This is
on?
a desperate man.
Or a man who thinks he can get away with anything.
That too. So Belinda's like, okay, I'm bailing. She leaves Tony. She
Yes.
leaves North Carolina. She moves to Texas.
That's where she meets the attorney who she tells this story to.
Because 11 years go by. She
Yes.
doesn't tell him the story right away.
Right.
11 years go by, and the ex-boyfriend randomly reaches out to Belinda, hey, like, it's been a long time. Do you want to meet me at this nearby truck stop? And
Where there's
she's
no
like,
witnesses and nobody can hear you scream.
And she's like, no. And she's too scared to go. So she tells her boss, a lawyer, the whole story. The boss connects Belinda to the feds. Bada bing, bada boom. Here we are.
The feds show up at Belinda's house. The name Belinda, I could never stop saying it.
I know,
What a
good.
great name.
It's a great
Jesus.
name.
They show up at Belinda's house with a photo lineup. It takes her 3 seconds to tap her little pinky pink fingernail.
That's another Deb quote.
Yeah, totally. On Jim Sullivan's face.
And he's the guy who paid the ex-boyfriend.
Yes.
The feds set up a wire and they record conversations between Belinda and her ex, Tony.
Right.
And Tony spills it all.
Yeah.
He tells Belinda everything on these recorded calls.
Yes.
Plus, the FBI finds proof that Tony, the ex, delivered furniture to Jim Sullivan 3 months before the murder, so they knew each other.
That's how they were connected. But the FBI calls the trucking company that he worked for. He's like, any chance you got your records from 11 years ago? He's like, I sure do, girl.
Of course I do.
People used to keep great records before computers,
I know.
apparently. My God.
Here's a pro tip. You can keep records on a computer, too.
I don't know that that's true. I'm
Makes
not
me
really...
crazy. You don't have any backups of anything.
But we're doing good. That's only ever bit us in the ass 4 or 5 or 7
You
times.
want to know why? Because I have them all. Because they exist somewhere.
I could probably find my notes now for like the last 4 years or so. But like if we needed my notes on the catfish documentary, I probably couldn't find them.
Oh, I got mine. I
Do
can
you?
pull them up for you right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They should be in a museum somewhere.
No, that's so funny. So this is perfect, though. There's a paper trail, right? So Tony, the ex, tells the feds, okay, fine. I took $25,000 from Jim, but I did not pull the trigger, but I was also there.
This has been on his conscience forever. When the feds knocked on his door, he's like, I've been waiting for you guys for a long time. He wants to unburden himself of this.
Right. Now, he's the hitman.
Yes.
He's saying that he's not, but
Yeah, of
he
course.
incriminates himself.
Yeah.
So the cops arrest him for Lita's murder. He just keeps talking. He knows too much, and they arrest him for the murder.
Now, they at the same time issue a warrant for James Sullivan, the husband, who obviously paid for this. The guy fucking takes off.
Yeah, it's April 1998. He's gone.
Yeah.
He runs. He's gone for years.
He had a home in Costa Rica where he went. Then he flies to Panama. Then from Panama, nobody knows where he went.
Then he's been missing for so long. He's on the top 10 most wanted list. He's on America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
A man sees America's Most Wanted on television and goes, I know that guy. He lives in my condo complex in Chiam, Thailand.
That's my neighbor.
I know. In Thailand.
Calls America's Most Wanted. The husband is finally extradited in 2004. This was 1998.
I mean,
the neighbor
America's
calls.
Most Wanted is going to get you every time. Why is that show not still on the air?
But it takes forever.
I know.
Because the phone call comes in 1998. By 2004, he's extradited.
And I mean, she died. She was murdered in 1988.
87.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, right. 1987. Right.
He gets off the plane. He's wearing one shoe because he has gout so bad.
Which, meanwhile, we're covering that other documentary about the colchicine
The
or whatever.
colchicine, Little Miss Innocent,
I
where
know.
nobody had
Get
gout.
the guy some colchicine.
Nobody had gout.
I know.
So anyway, the trial, after nearly 20 years, and Clint, the prosecutor's like, can I talk about the puzzles again?
Oh, God.
Because this is all about putting all these puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
He's rich. He's white. He's gotten away with everything. His lawyers are amazing. And we're like, shit, this does not look good.
Yes.
So the jury, we learn 9 women, 3 men. We learn that the jury is racially mixed.
Yes.
We have a lot of people testifying. We have the phone records. We have that receipt that FBI John loves from Howard Johnson with the car license plate and all that.
Belinda and Tony testify. They're like the star witnesses.
Right. And Belinda says something. Talk about haunting for the rest of your life.
Because what happened was, Tony is, when he's trying to convince her that he's been hired to kill this woman and she doesn't believe him.
No, I'm not cheating on you. I was hired to kill a
this
black woman.
Yeah. And he's like, we knocked on the door like yesterday and she didn't answer. And Belinda's like, well, you're such a dummy. She's not trying to help him. She just doesn't believe this is real.
Yeah.
I said, just don't even lie to me. I said, because anyone knows that if you wanted to get a woman to answer the door, all you would have to do is take flowers to the door.
And so Belinda unwittingly gave them the tool to get Lita to answer the door.
Right. And so this is like a very gaspable moment because it proves that they used Belinda's, for lack of a better term, like advice.
Yeah, and they make it very clear that she did not do that on purpose. She was not trying to help them.
No.
Yeah.
But Clint, the puzzle-loving lawyer, brings the actual booth from the actual diner.
Oh my God.
Into the courtroom, and I'm like, okay, I love this. I love the theater, but like that poor diner.
I know.
Did the lawyers pay for that? Did they replace the booth?
There's a lot of theatrics in the closing arguments. The defense attorney is trying to show that there's no way the $25,000 Tony was paid could fit into the envelope. So she's trying to literally like, if the money doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
So Belinda identifies Jim Sullivan, fine. Tony, the boyfriend, gets up there to testify.
Yeah.
Clint, the lawyer, has him stand up and act out what Jim Sullivan said to him. He's taking his glasses. This man is in character. He's like doing a voice. His posture changes. And Tony's like, yeah, I signed the motel receipt. I bought the flowers. I made the he did everything but kill Lita.
Exactly.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
And the defense doesn't ask him a single question.
No, and that's the thing, that like he's a guy that like they could have assassinated his character on the stand all day.
He did it already, I think.
I guess that's true.
So by the time we're at closing arguments, Clint, the theater kid, like, girl, I know you love puzzles, but you also love theater, my friend.
Loved you in Godspell, girl.
Because he has an actual doorbell.
Oh my God. So he's got the doorbell, because remember, they rang the doorbell, Lita answered the door. They want the jury to feel what Lita felt when the hearing of the doorbell.
This like ordinary sound.
But also learned that the husband who hired the killer loved the book For Whom the Bell Tolls. So he starts shouting at the jury,
I'm going to ask you through your verdict of guilty to each and every count to tell James Vincent Sullivan for whom the bell tolls. Tell him that it tolls for thee.
Then Clint looks directly at him and he points and he goes, for you. And I'm like, yes,
and he says
Clint,
it 3 times.
For you.
I'm sure it was effective in the courtroom. I'm watching it like this is a bit over the top.
And
Even
then he
for
rings
me.
the doorbell 3 times.
I know.
The bell is tolling. But like, I understand partially why he's doing this, because he knows he's up against a rich white guy.
Yes.
And it's the murder of a black woman. And he is doing everything he can to show these people, give them as many visuals, whether it's the diner or the doorbell or whatever. Clint, I know you're a puzzle guy, but you're playing a lot of chess here, and I love it. Theatrical chess, the best. So the jury is deliberating, and everyone's a wreck, because they're like, is he going to get away with it again? Like, he's gotten away with everything his whole life. The other case was thrown out.
And he was like on the run for 10 years or whatever. But the case goes to the jury. They come back in a few hours. It's the same day, and he's guilty.
And this is where, so fuck this guy. So he has life in prison without the possibility of parole. But did you catch this? As they're talking about this, we're like, now the entire time that Clint, the lawyer, is with Deborah Roberts, he's doing a puzzle. And we finally like pan out, and the puzzle that Clint has been working on this whole time is Lady Justice.
Yes.
And I'm like, I understand that after all this time, Lita's family just got something, but I'm like, Lady Justice needs a lot of work. I don't know if the current Justice is invited to my planet.
No.
We
You
need
guys
to
are going
to burn the whole thing down.
That's no question.
Yeah.
No
but
question.
It's going to be a lady again.
Yeah. You're never sending for us. We're just going to starve at that planet.
Live your life.
Like you want to be
like
sent
you just
for
want to
it.
get there.
I know. So he gets life without the possibility of parole. Tony Harwood, we believe the killer, was released after his 20 years. Sullivan remains behind bars to this day.
Yeah. And Yvette, Lita's friend, because Deborah Roberts is like, why do you think this took 20 years? And she's like, I got 2 words for you, Deb. White privilege.
Yes.
He was rich, he was white. And she says he knew how to manipulate people and he had resources to do that.
Yes.
And Clint's like, yeah. And I have to say, race always permeates a case.
Yeah.
And it definitely did in this case. And it ends with Deb, the author, saying this really beautiful thing about Lita.
This is a woman who you never met, I've never met. Most of the people involved in this case never met her. And yet her life really made an impact. When somebody dies in this kind of manner, they don't stop being a member of the family. They don't stop being a member of the community. They never stop mattering.
People don't ever stop mattering.
Yes.
And like, it was this really beautiful way to end this, because we also there were 3 guys there. We only have Tony. We don't know anything else.
They're not even looking for the other 2.
They just sort of ended the case. And so now Lita's family has to sort of deal with like, okay, I guess it's now about Lita and her impact and her memory.
Yeah.
And how she still matters and not the rest of the details of this case, which is fucking crazy and unfair. Lady Justice, how dare you?
How dare you?
I would like a word.
Oh, girl, we did a puzzling murder from 2020?
Yeah, it's season 47, episode 6.
I love Deborah Roberts. I
She's amazing.
love her.
And I love so many of the cases that she covers on 2020 are so personal to her.
Yes.
So she really has like a really special voice in these stories. So.
Yeah. Fam, don't forget, we are starting Discord. I almost forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's a link in the show notes right now. There's a link to everything. The Facebook group, all of our social media, the Discord. Join the Discord. We're going to be in there. I can't wait to sort of learn this new world.
Yeah,
it's going to be so fun.
It's not replacing. We're just adding it.
Exactly.
So Facebook is still there. Everything is still there.
Yep.
But this is just a little alternative if you're into that kind of thing.
And especially if you want to join the book club, that's going to be starting to be managed through there. Sasha's going to manage it in a bunch of ways. You don't have to join Discord to be in the book club. We've got a couple hundred, like 500 people in the book club.
Yeah, because the book club is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's not like not in Facebook. It's not on Discord.
But
it's everywhere.
The thing about Discord is that there will be a special channel for the book, so you can continue the conversation there easier than you can in the Facebook group.
Got it.
Is all I'm saying.
Okay.
What are we doing next?
Oh, girl, Lisa Frank.
Oh.
We're doing that Lisa Frank doc. So it's on Amazon Prime. It's 4 episodes. We're doing that thing where we do it in 2.
We're talking about gay stickers. Like that's what we're doing.
Oh my God.
I know.
Stickers, Lisa Frank. Also, Sandy Lion. Were you a Sandy Lion girly?
I don't know anything about Lisa Frank. So watching the documentary, I messed this up, fam.
You fucked it up. You fucked me on. I specifically asked you not to fuck me on something.
And I did. It's why I'm going to that other planet, and I'm not going to be sent for. Anyway, the way we're doing it is it's 4 episodes. We're doing it in 2, 2 episodes at 1, and then 2 episodes in the. Anyway,
yeah,
you know how
whatever. And if not, we'll explain it at the top of the episode.
Okay.
But Lisa Frank is my sticker girlies. Let's go.
Oh my God! All right, stay tuned for the trailer for that, and we love y'all.
We love you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Lisa Frank's art have this nostalgia,
an explosion of color,
happy, magical. The cutest thing you've ever seen.
Lisa Frank's story started with a dream that grew into a phenomenon.
Rainbows, unicorns.
The art defined an entire generation. And she became known as the mastermind of an iconic brand.
At one point, they were making a reported $66 million a year.
But behind the colorful brand, things got very, very dark.
How can something that created so much happiness go so wrong?
There's a scary side to the Lisa Frank story. Not everything was rainbows and unicorns.
Oh, it's a rainbow roller coaster, to say the very least.
It felt like management by fear. Walked around on eggshells.
They just took such advantage of us.
Who's going to survive till next week? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
They say you should never meet your idols, and it's true.